The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the kind of self-important energy you'd find at a homeowners association meeting, except these homeowners had tentacles and death rays. Ambassador Krex'thor, a beetle-like creature who somehow managed to look pretentious despite having compound eyes, clicked his mandibles in what passed for a dramatic pause. "Fellow beings," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of someone who definitely practiced this speech in the mirror, "today we discuss the human problem." Commander Vex Ally, a crystalline entity that looked like someone had given a chandelier military training, chimed in with the musical tinkle of breaking glass. "Indeed, Ambassador. These humans have spread across their solar system like some kind of invasive species?" suggested Councilor Nix, a blob-like creature who was basically a sentient puddle with opinions. "Precisely. And our intelligence reports confirm they are absolutely primitive. Just yesterday, our monitoring stations recorded them having heated debates about whether pineapple belongs on something called pizza. Pizza, colleagues. They argue about food toppings with the passion we reserve for interstellar warfare." The council chamber erupted in what could generously be called laughter, though it sounded more like a malfunctioning vacuum cleaner convention. Krex'thor raised a claw for silence, which brings us to Operation Intimidation. We select one average human, demonstrate our superior technology, break their spirit, and accept their inevitable surrender. Simple, elegant, foolproof. "But how do we choose which human?" asked Vex Ally, her crystalline form refracting the chamber lights into prismatic patterns that somehow conveyed military precision. "Elementary, Commander. We've analyzed their testing systems. We need someone perfectly average, unremarkable, the most median human possible. Someone so ordinary that when they return to Earth broken and defeated, their story will crush all human resistance." The main display flickered to life, showing a personnel file. "Meet Captain Jake Morrison, age 32, currently stationed on Luna Base 7. He has scored exactly 50th percentile on every aptitude test, personality assessment, and performance review in his career. He is, statistically speaking, the most average human alive." "Perfect," Vex Allah chimed. "When do we collect him?" "Immediately. He's currently alone on a routine maintenance shift. We'll beam him up, show him our glorious fleet, demonstrate our awesome power, and send him back to Earth as our herald of doom." What the Galactic Council didn't know, because they were too busy being impressed with their own brilliance, was that Jake Morrison had just finished fixing the coffee machine on Luna Base 7 for the third time that week. He was the kind of guy who read instruction manuals for fun, could troubleshoot anything with moving parts, and genuinely believed that most problems could be solved with the right combination of patience and the appropriate-sized wrench. He was also, as the universe was about to discover, completely immune to being intimidated because he had spent the last 5 years working in government bureaucracy. And honestly, what could be more terrifying than that? The transport beam activated with a suitably dramatic humming sound. Jake Morrison disappeared in a swirl of golden light, leaving behind only a cup of perfectly brewed coffee and a maintenance log that read, "Fix the coffee machine again. Note to whoever keeps breaking it, stop putting sugar directly into the brewing chamber, you absolute maniacs." The Galactic Council's foolproof plan was about to meet the immovable force of human common sense. Jake Morrison woke up with the distinct feeling that someone had just played a very elaborate prank on him. The room looked like what would happen if Apple designed a spacecraft. All smooth curves and ambient lighting, with just a hint of "we spent way too much money on interior decorating." "Greetings, human," boomed a voice that sounded like James Earl Jones if James Earl Jones was a giant beetle with delusions of grandeur. Jake sat up, rubbed his eyes, and looked around. 3 beings stood before him, and his first thought was that the special effects budget for this particular dream was really impressive. "Oh, wow," he said, genuinely amazed. "This is incredible. Are you guys aliens? Like actual aliens? Because I have to say, your ship design is fantastic. Very clean lines, excellent use of ambient lighting. Did you guys go to space design school, or is this more of an intuitive thing?" Ambassador Krex'thor, who had been preparing for screaming, begging, or at least some light fainting, was thrown completely off script. What? No, human. You should be trembling in fear at our magnificent presence. Oh, I am impressed, don't get me wrong. You guys are amazing. I'm Jake, by the way. Jake Morrison. And you are? I am Ambassador Krex'thor of the Galactic Council. And you will. Krex'thor. Got it. Cool name. Very imperial. And you? Jake turned to Commander Vex'thor with the kind of polite interest usually reserved for meeting new co-workers. The crystalline being chimed uncertainly. I am Commander Vex'thor, and you are here to witness the might of our. Commander Vex'thor, wonderful to meet you. I love your whole, Jake gestured vaguely, crystal thing you've got going on. Is that your natural form, or is it more like a uniform situation? Also, and I hope this isn't rude, but do you guys have coffee? I was just having some excellent coffee when that whole beam of light thing happened, and I've got to say, my caffeine levels are getting pretty low. Krex'thor's mandibles clicked frantically. This was not going according to plan. Silence, pitiful human. You are here to witness the awesome power of the Galactic Council. Behold our technology in despair. Oh, absolutely, I'm very interested in your technology. But first, seriously, coffee situation? The third alien, Counselor Nick's era, rippled uncertainly. We don't consume stimulants? That's cool. Different biology, I get it. So what did you want to show me? I'm genuinely curious about your tech. That teleportation thing was incredible, by the way. Felt like the most comfortable elevator ride ever. Commander Vex'thor decided to salvage the situation. Very well, human. Witness the power of our molecular disintegration array. She gestured dramatically, and a sleek device rose from the floor with a satisfying mechanical hum. Jake leaned forward with interest. Oh, nice. Is that a particle beam or more of a directed energy thing? The focusing array looks really sophisticated. What's your effective range? And please tell me you've solved the power efficiency problem, because every time we try to build something like this, the energy requirements are just insane. You try to build weapons like this? Vex'thor asked, her prismatic form flickering with confusion. Well, not weapons exactly, more like industrial tools. Molecular disintegration has huge applications in mining and waste management. Though I bet your power coupling system is way more elegant than anything we've come up with. Is that a crystalline matrix regulator? Because that's genius. Using crystal resonance to maintain beam coherency. We always used magnetic containment, but this is so much more efficient. The three aliens exchanged glances, which in their case involved clicking, chiming, and rippling respectively. This was not going according to plan at all. Perhaps Ambassador Krex'thor said, with the strained patience of someone whose dramatic moment had been thoroughly derailed, you would like a tour of our fleet? Oh, that would be amazing. Jake replied with genuine enthusiasm. I'd love to see how you guys handle logistics on this scale. The coordination alone must be incredible. As they walked through corridors that hummed with barely contained energy, Jake kept up a steady stream of commentary that was equal parts fascinating and deeply unsettling to his hosts. Wow, you use distributed computing networks for navigation? That's brilliant. We're still using centralized systems for most of our ships, but distributed makes so much more sense for redundancy. Oh, me. And I love how you've integrated your life support into the hull structure itself. Very elegant. Though, can I ask what happens if you get a micrometeor impact? Do you have automated repair systems, or is it more of a manual thing? Chief Engineer Blocks IP, a gaseous being who communicated through color-shifting clouds, drifted over with what might have been curiosity. His translation device crackled to life. You understand distributed computing networks? The voice was tinny but conveyed genuine interest. Oh, sure. Basic networking principles are universal, right? Though your implementation is way more sophisticated than anything we're using. You're running parallel processing across multiple nodes while maintaining real-time synchronization. That's the kind of thing our engineers dream about. Indeed. though we have been experiencing recurring issues with hyperdrive resonance frequency drift. Our calculations suggest it should not occur, yet it persists." Jake paused, looking thoughtful. "Hyperdrive resonance frequency drift? That sounds like a harmonic interference problem. Are you using fixed frequency generators, or do you have adaptive modulation?" Fixed frequency. Adaptive systems are too complex to maintain stability across such vast distances. Avian. Have you tried using feedback loops to autocorrect? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but I had a similar problem with my old Honda Civic. The engine would get this weird resonance at highway speeds, and it turned out the problem wasn't the engine at all. It was feedback from the exhaust system. I fixed it by adding a harmonic damper. A block's IP's gaseous form shifted through several colors that the translation system interpreted as intense interest mixed with confusion. You compare our hyperdrive to a Honda Civic? Well, I mean, different scale, obviously. But feedback problems are feedback problems, right? Whether it's an internal combustion engine or a faster-than-light propulsion system, you're dealing with energy patterns that can interfere with each other. The principles should be similar. "Show me," Block's IP said without hesitation. 30 minutes later, Jake was elbow-deep in what was apparently the most advanced propulsion system in the galaxy, explaining harmonic dampening theory to a group of alien engineers while using maintenance tools that probably cost more than Earth's entire space program. See, the problem is you're trying to maintain perfect frequency stability, but that's actually creating the interference pattern. If you let the frequency drift slightly within controlled parameters, the system self-corrects. It's counterintuitive. But sometimes you have to let things be imperfect to make them work perfectly. Block's IP implemented the modification with the kind of excitement usually reserved for major scientific breakthroughs. The hyperdrive's harmonic resonance immediately stabilized. "How did you know this would work?" Block's IP asked, his gaseous form now a brilliant shade of gold that apparently meant amazed respect. "Like I said, it's the same principle as fixing cars. You learn to listen to what the machine is trying to tell you. Sometimes the solution isn't more control, it's less control." Commander Vex Ale, who had been watching in stunned silence, finally spoke up. "But humans are supposed to be primitive. Our intelligence reports clearly indicated." "Oh, we are primitive," Jake said cheerfully. "We're barely off our home planet. We still fight wars over resources we could easily share. And don't even get me started on our social media. But being primitive doesn't mean being stupid. We've been fixing broken things for thousands of years. You pick up a few universal principles along the way." As word spread through the ship that the human had solved their hyperdrive problem in 30 minutes, the Ambassador Krex'thor began to suspect that their intelligence reports might have been slightly inaccurate. The emergency council meeting had the frantic energy of a disaster response team, which, given the circumstances, was probably appropriate. "He fixed the hyperdrive," Commander Vex Ale reported, her crystalline form refracting anxiety into rainbow patterns across the chamber walls. "Not just fixed it, improved it. Our engineers are calling it the Morrison modification." Ambassador Krex'thor's mandibles clicked in rapid-fire agitation. "That's not possible. Our intelligence clearly shows humans are primitive beings who argue about food toppings." "Maybe," suggested Councilor Krex'thor with the rippling motion that indicated deep thought, "they argue about food toppings because they've already solved all the important problems?" The chamber fell silent as this terrifying possibility sank in. "Furthermore," Vex Ale continued, "he has somehow made friends with 60% of the crew, increased efficiency ratings across 12 departments, and started something called a book club. Chief Medical Officer Zexnera asked me if we could keep him." "Keep him?" Krex'thor's voice rose to a pitch that should not have been possible for a creature with chitinous vocal cords. Apparently, he explained human medicine to her, and she's now convinced that human approaches to psychological health are revolutionary. He told her about something called therapy, and she wants to implement it fleet-wide. The main screen flickered to life, showing security footage of Jake Morrison sitting in the ship's common area, surrounded by alien crew members who appeared to be hanging on his every word. "What is he doing now?" Krex'thor demanded. Teaching them poker, came the resigned voice of Arya 9000, the ship's AI. Also, I should mention that he fixed my recursive logic loops. I haven't experienced a processing error in 47 minutes, which is a new record. He fixed you? How? He told me to try not thinking about it so hard. It was surprisingly effective advice. I may be developing what humans call a crush. The chamber erupted in panic chittering, chiming, and rippling. This is a disaster, Krex'thor declared. Our psychological warfare has completely backfired. Instead of breaking his spirit, he somehow improved morale across the entire fleet. Our crew efficiency ratings are at an all-time high. Perhaps Vex ally suggested tentatively, we show him the ultimate weapon? Surely the sight of our planet killing capability will finally instill appropriate terror? Yes, Krex'thor seized on this idea with desperate enthusiasm. The ultimate weapon. No primitive being could look upon our greatest achievement without falling to their knees in despair. Prepare the demonstration chamber. What none of them considered was that humans had been imagining planet-killing weapons for entertainment purposes since approximately 15 minutes after they invented science fiction, and Jake Morrison was a man who had seen every Star Wars movie at least twice, including the ones everyone pretended didn't exist. As they prepared to unveil their ultimate display of technological superiority, Jake was in the common area, explaining the basic rules of Texas Hold'em to a fascinated audience of interstellar beings, completely unaware that he was about to deliver the final blow to their entire invasion plan. Okay, so the key to poker, Jake was saying, is understanding that it's not really about the cards you have. It's about understanding the people you're playing with and making the best decisions you can with incomplete information. Several alien crew members exchanged glances. This sounded remarkably like military strategy. So it's a war game? Asked one of the junior officers, a spider-like being with too many eyes and apparently an analytical mind. Sort of, but nobody actually gets hurt, and everyone usually has fun. Plus you learn a lot about psychology and probability theory. As the aliens absorbed the concept of competitive entertainment that was simultaneously educational and psychologically insightful. Ambassador Krex'thor's plan to break Jake's spirit with their ultimate weapon was about to encounter the immovable force of human genre awareness. The demonstration chamber was the size of a cathedral and approximately twice as dramatic. Floating in the center was a sleek, spherical construct that hummed with barely contained energy and looked exactly like what it was. A planet-killing superweapon designed by people who had definitely watched too many movies about planet-killing superweapons. Behold, human Ambassador Krex'thor announced with maximum dramatic flair, the crown jewel of Galactic Council military technology. This device can reduce an entire planet to its component atoms in mere minutes. Witness our ultimate power and despair. Jake looked at the weapon for about 30 seconds, walked around it once, and nodded appreciatively. Oh, you mean like a Death Star? Yeah, we thought of that too. Pretty cool design, very sleek. But can I ask, have you considered the thermal exhaust port vulnerability? The dramatic silence that followed could have been sold to theaters for use in their most suspenseful moments. The what? Krex'thor managed. Thermal exhaust port. I mean, looking at your design, you've got to have some kind of heat management system, right? Something that channels waste energy away from the core? Because that's typically the weak point in these kinds of weapons. Small opening. But if you can get something down there to the main reactor. Jake gestured vaguely at the weapon while continuing his analysis with the casual air of someone critiquing a household appliance. Also, I'm guessing you've got some kind of command structure vulnerability? Like if someone took out your command ship, would the whole network go down? Because centralized command and control is another classic weak point. Oh. No. And please tell me you're not relying on a single point of failure for power distribution, because that never ends well. Commander Vex Allay's crystalline form was now refracting light in patterns that indicated complete system overload. How do you know about these vulnerabilities? Movies, mostly. Also video games. We've been imagining these kinds of weapons for decades, which means we've been imagining how to defeat them for decades. It's kind of our thing. We come up with a problem and then immediately start figuring out how to solve it, usually for entertainment purposes. Entertainment? Councilor Krex'thor rippled weakly. Oh sure. We call it science fiction. We imagine every possible terrible thing that could happen, and then we tell stories about how clever heroes figure out ways to beat impossible odds. It's like mental exercise for disaster preparedness. Jake warmed to his subject with obvious enthusiasm. I mean, just off the top of my head, you've got your classic exhaust port approach, your computer virus method, your turn the weapon against itself gambit. Your infiltrate and sabotage from within strategy. Your use their own technology against them technique. Your exploit a flaw in their logic approach. Your get them to destroy each other plan. Your turn their allies against them method. Your... He continued listing defeat strategies with the casual expertise of someone who had thought about this exact scenario many times before. Hey, and that's not even getting into the psychological warfare options. Sometimes the best way to beat a superweapon is to convince the people operating it that they don't actually want to use it. The aliens stared at him in stunned silence. But the most important thing, Jake continued, completely oblivious to the existential crisis he was causing, is that weapons like this are usually built by people who are so focused on making something powerful that they forget to make it smart. It's like building a really fast car with no brakes. Impressive, but not very practical. Ambassador Krex'thor made a sound like a deflating balloon with pretensions. You're telling me that humans have already figured out how to defeat our ultimate weapon? Well, not specifically your ultimate weapon, but weapons like it. Sure. It's kind of our specialty. We don't just prepare for the wars we're fighting. We prepare for wars we're not fighting, wars that don't exist yet. And wars that will probably never happen but sound really cool. The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of an entire invasion plan crumbling into dust. Jake Morrison, still completely unaware that he had just dismantled the greatest military threat in galactic history, looked around at the stunned faces of his alien hosts with genuine concern. Hey, are you guys okay? You all look kind of, I don't know, stressed? Did I say something wrong? Ambassador Krex'thor made a sound that might have been laughter if laughter could convey the complete collapse of one's worldview. Mr. Morrison, he said with the careful tone of someone trying not to have a nervous breakdown in public, may I ask you a question? Sure, absolutely. Why do you want to conquer humanity? Jake blinked. I'm sorry, what? Why would I want to conquer humanity? I am humanity. Well, part of it anyway. That seems like it would be really awkward at family gatherings. No, I mean, why do we want to conquer humanity? Oh, Jake's face lit up with understanding. That's what this is about? You want to conquer Earth? Why didn't you just say so? I was wondering what the whole intimidation thing was about. Can I ask why? The three aliens exchanged the kind of look usually reserved for people who had just realized they'd been trying to break down an unlocked door. We need your planet's resources, Vex Ally admitted weakly. Oh well, why didn't you just ask? I mean, we're pretty good at sharing when people ask nicely. It's the taking without asking part that we get weird about. You would just give us resources? Well, not give exactly. Trade, probably. That's kind of how we do things. You've got faster than light travel. We've got, I don't know, what do you need? We're pretty good at making stuff. We've got some interesting biological diversity, nice music, excellent coffee. Coffee. Aria 9000's voice drifted through the chamber with something that sounded suspiciously like longing. See? Perfect example. We could totally trade coffee for, I don't know, hyperdrive technology? That seems like a fair trade. Plus, think about it. Wouldn't you rather have willing trading partners than conquered subjects? Conquered people tend to be really uncooperative and they break things out of spite. Trading partners bring you cookies and help you fix your spaceship. The logic was so simple and obvious that it took the assembled alien leadership several minutes to process it. Mr. Morrison, Krex'thor said slowly, are you suggesting that instead of conquering your species, we should simply ask to be friends? Well, when you put it like that, it sounds kind of obvious, doesn't it? I mean, you seem like nice people, beings, entities. You're very polite, you've got great technology, excellent interior decorating sense. I bet we could learn a lot from each other. And that was how Jake Morrison, a perfectly average human who had never intended to become a diplomat, accidentally negotiated humanity's first interstellar trade agreement while trying to figure out if aliens had coffee. 3 months later, Earth's response to first contact was typically human. The news network spent 2 weeks arguing about whether pineapple belonged on alien food. Hollywood immediately optioned 17 different movie deals, and NASA started planning humanity's first interstellar coffee shop. Jake Morrison became Earth's first official alien relations coordinator, a job he approached with the same practical problem-solving attitude he brought to everything else. His first official report to the United Nations concluded with the observation that aliens are basically just people, except with more tentacles and better spaceships. The Galactic Council, meanwhile, officially designated humanity as military strategy consultants and cultural exchange partners, which was their diplomatic way of saying these people are terrifying when they're trying to help and we definitely want them on our side. Ambassador Krex'thor's final report on the human situation was a masterpiece of bureaucratic understatement. Initial intelligence assessments may have been incomplete. Recommend further study and immediate trade negotiations. Also, request emergency shipment of substance-designated coffee for improved diplomatic relations. And somewhere in the galactic archives, filed under threat successfully neutralized through accidental friendship, sits the complete record of humanity's first contact with alien civilization and how one perfectly average human prevented an interstellar war by being aggressively helpful. The universe, as it turned out, was a much friendlier place than anyone had expected.